Hello everyone. Today, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina for another episode of the Tombstone Tourist. Charlotte is recognized as the hub of NASCAR, with most of the teams being based here in the greater Charlotte area. But back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, Charlotte was also the hub of one of the most successful professional wrestling promotions in the country, Jim Crockett Promotions. For more than 40 years, Jim Crockett Promotions brought professional wrestling to such iconic venues as the Dorton Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, the War Memorial Auditorium in Greenville and Spartanburg, South Carolina, and Starland Arena in Roanoke, Virginia, just to name a few. Today, we're in Forest Lawn East Cemetery. We're going to be visiting the final resting place of two of the legendary stars of Jim Crockett Promotions and Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. The first grave we want to visit is right here at the base of this three-forked tree. Fans of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling will recognize this name as one of the original members of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Gene Anderson was born on October 4, 1939 in St. Paul, Minnesota. After wrestling in high school, Gene went on to train with the legendary Vern Gagne, who made his professional wrestling debut in 1958 in Calgary, Canada. Gene spent the first few years of his career with the Calgary-based Stampede Wrestling before moving to the American Wrestling Association back in his home state of Minnesota. While wrestling for the AWA in 1965, he formed the tag team with Lars Anderson and later Ole Anderson. Both were billed as his brothers. The Anderson brothers were soon known as the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. With the success of the Anderson brothers, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew moved south, appearing for both Georgia and Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, where over the years Gene and the crew had some notable feuds with the likes of George Becker and Johnny Weaver, the Scott brothers, George and Sandy, along with Paul Jones and Nelson Royal. In the early 1980s, the rigors of professional wrestling was taking its toll on Gene, and he wanted to slow down. So a third Anderson joined the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Arn Anderson joined Gene and Ole, and later they introduced their cousin, who turned out to be Ric Flair. When Gene retired in 1985, Rick, Ole, and Arn started downplaying the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, and along with Tully Blanchard, formed the Four Horsemen. In retirement, Gene joined fellow wrestler and friend Nelson Royal. The pair opened a wrestling school in Mooresville, North Carolina. In addition to running the wrestling school, Gene also took a job as a deputy sheriff for an agency here in the Charlotte area. On October 31st, 1991, Gene Anderson suffered a fatal heart attack while attending a training event in Huntersville, North Carolina. The original member of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew was 52 years old.
And if we walk just a few steps from the grave of Gene Anderson, we come to another professional wrestler, Kenneth E. Weaver, better known to wrestling fans as Johnny Weaver, a star for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Jim Crockett Promotions. back in the 1960s and 70s. Johnny Weaver.
Johnny Weaver was born Kenneth Eugene Weaver in East St. Louis, Illinois, on November 17, 1935. In 1957, he began his wrestling career in a long association with Jim Crockett Promotions. He quickly was paired with tag team partner George Becker. They would become two of the promotion's most popular stars. The tag team of George Becker and Johnny Weaver appeared throughout the Mid-Atlantic area, feuding with such stars as Rip Hawk and Sweet Hansen, J.C. Dykes and the Infernos, and of course, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Gene and Lars Anderson. In the late 1970s, Johnny began to limit his ring appearances, and in 1979, he became a commentator for Mid-Atlantic and World Championship Wrestling, while still verbally feuding with the likes of Ivan Koloff, Roddy Piper, and Kevin Sullivan. Johnny's professional wrestling career spanned almost 30 years, but in 1988, he left Jim Crockett Promotions and retired to the Charlotte area, where he began a second career. Johnny was in his 50s when he applied for a job with the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. His application was accepted, and he was one of the oldest people ever to successfully complete the Law Enforcement Training Academy. For the next 20 years, Johnny worked as a deputy sheriff transporting prisoners across the same roads that he traveled as a wrestler. During his wrestling career, Johnny was married to fellow professional wrestler Eddie Banner. But after Banner accused him of years of mental and physical abuse, the couple divorced. Johnny Weaver died at the age of 72 on February 15, 2008, just a few weeks before Penny died on May 13, 2008. I tried to locate her grave to include in this video, but was unable to do so. I'm going to end this video here at the graves of professional wrestlers Gene Anderson and Johnny Weaver. If you have any memories of Gene and Johnny, or memories of Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling in general, please leave me a comment. As someone who grew up watching the good old days of wrestling, I'd love to hear from you. And I would really appreciate a thumbs up if you found this video interesting. If you want to keep up with all of my adventures, be sure to ring that bell and subscribe. So, until next time, remember, life's a journey. Be sure to take time and enjoy it. I'll see you down the road. So long, everyone.